Manual transmission. This is the oldest form of gearbox still in widespread use today, and it works exactly the way most people picture when they think of driving a car with a clutch pedal. The driver selects each gear by hand using a gear lever while pressing the clutch pedal to temporarily disconnect the engine from the drivetrain. That disconnect allows the gears to change without grinding against each other. When the clutch is released, power flows from the engine through the gearbox and out to the wheels again. Manual transmissions give the driver direct control over which gear the car is in at any given moment, which is why many driving enthusiasts still prefer them decades after more convenient alternatives became widely available. They are mechanically simple, generally cheaper to produce, and easier to repair than most other transmission types. The main skill involved is learning how to match engine speed to road speed when changing gears, particularly when moving off from a standstill. Get that balance wrong and the car stalls or jerks. Get it right and the whole experience feels remarkably direct. Automatic transmission. The traditional automatic gearbox removes the need for a clutch pedal entirely and handles all gear selection on its own. Inside, it uses a component called a torque converter instead of a friction clutch. The torque converter uses fluid to transfer power from the engine to the transmission, which allows the car to come to a stop without stalling and pull away again smoothly without any driver input. The gearbox itself contains a set of planetary gear sets, along with a series of clutch packs and bands that engage in different combinations to produce different gear ratios. A control system, originally hydraulic and now fully electronic, decides when to shift based on vehicle speed, throttle position, and load. Traditional automatics were once limited to 3 or 4 gears, but modern versions commonly have 8, 9, or even 10 speeds. More gears allow the engine to stay closer to its most efficient operating range across a wider variety of road speeds, which improves both fuel economy and refinement at a cruise. Continuously variable transmission. Unlike conventional gearboxes that step between fixed gear ratios, a CVT has no fixed gears at all. Instead, it uses 2 cone-shaped pulleys connected by a steel belt or chain. As the pulleys change their effective diameter relative to each other, the ratio between engine speed and wheel speed shifts smoothly and continuously without any distinct steps. From inside the car, the engine tends to hold at a constant RPM while the vehicle accelerates, which can feel unusual to drivers used to traditional gearboxes where the engine note rises and falls with each gear change. CVTs are common in smaller cars and hybrids because they allow the engine to stay in its most fuel-efficient range almost all the time. The technology itself has been around for a long time, with early concepts dating back centuries, but it only became practical for mainstream vehicles once materials and engineering tolerances improved enough to handle the sustained loads of a normal car engine. Dual clutch transmission. This type of gearbox uses 2 separate clutches, each one controlling a different set of gears. One clutch handles the odd-numbered gears and the other handles the even-numbered gears. While the car is in first gear, the second clutch is already holding second gear in readiness. When the shift point arrives, one clutch releases as the other engages almost simultaneously. The result is a gear change that takes only milliseconds and happens with virtually no interruption in power delivery to the wheels. Dual clutch transmissions were developed in motorsport before making their way to road cars, and the performance advantage they offer is real and measurable. They are now found in everything from hot hatchbacks to high-performance sports cars and are often offered as an alternative to a conventional automatic on the same model. The trade-off is that some versions, particularly those with dry clutches, can feel hesitant and slightly jerky at very low speeds in stop-and-go city traffic, where the clutch system is not operating in its ideal conditions. Semi-automatic transmission. A semi-automatic gearbox keeps the manual gear ratios and a physical clutch mechanism, but removes the need for the driver to operate the clutch pedal directly. The clutch actuation is handled automatically, either by an electro-hydraulic system or an electric actuator, while the driver still selects which gear to engage. These transmissions were used in various forms, from early motorsport all the way through to several notable production cars in the 1990s and 2000s. Ferrari used a version called the F1 gearbox in their road cars during that era, operated by paddles on the steering wheel, and it allowed faster shifts than any conventional manual while keeping a sense of driver involvement. The format has largely been replaced by dual-clutch transmissions in modern performance cars, but it represented an important transition point between fully manual operation and fully automated shifting. Automatic manual transmission. This is mechanically similar to a semi-automatic in that it starts life as a conventional manual gearbox, but in normal operation it is fully automated. The driver does not need to select gears at all unless the vehicle offers a manual override. The system uses sensors and actuators to manage both clutch engagement and gear selection automatically, reading vehicle speed, engine load, and throttle input to decide when to shift ratio. Automated manuals became particularly popular in commercial vehicles like buses and heavy trucks because they offer the fuel efficiency of a traditional manual gearbox combined with the ease of use of an automatic, which reduces driver fatigue on long journeys. In passenger cars, they were used as a cost-effective route to offering an automatic option, particularly in markets where fuel economy standards were strict. Shift quality on earlier versions was often criticized for feeling slow and abrupt, but later generations of the technology improved considerably in everyday comfort. Hydraulic automatic with manual mode. Many modern automatic transmissions include a mode that allows the driver to hold or manually select gears, typically using paddles mounted behind the steering wheel or by nudging the gear lever in a specific direction. The gearbox itself remains a conventional automatic with a torque converter, but the control software allows the driver to override its decisions within certain safety limits. The car will still shift automatically if the engine reaches its rev limit or if the system detects that intervention is necessary, so it is never truly manual in the way a proper gearbox is. This feature became common through the late 1990s and is now standard across a wide range of vehicles at all price points. For most drivers, it simply adds a sense of involvement on a winding road or when descending a steep hill and wanting engine braking without requiring any of the skill that a real manual demands. Tiptronic transmission. The Tiptronic name comes from Porsche, who introduced it on the 964 generation 911 in 1990 as a collaboration with ZF. It was one of the first systems to offer a proper manual shift gate alongside the standard automatic mode in a road car, giving the driver a separate channel in the gear selector to move forward or back through gears by hand. The name became so associated with the concept that it entered common usage well beyond Porsche, with other manufacturers using it or developing their own versions. The underlying transmission is still a torque converter automatic, so the shifts are smoother and slower than a dual clutch system would produce, but the appeal was never outright performance. It was about giving drivers a choice, and at the time, that choice felt genuinely new. Single-speed transmission. Electric vehicles don't typically need a multi-ratio gearbox at all. Electric motors produce strong torque across a wide range of speeds, which means a single fixed ratio gear is usually enough to cover everything from a standstill to highway cruising. The simplicity this brings is one of the practical advantages of an electric drivetrain. There are no gear changes, no clutch, no torque converter, and very few of the moving parts that conventional transmissions rely on. A small number of high-performance electric vehicles have experimented with two-speed transmissions to extend top speed capability or improve efficiency at high load. But for the vast majority of electric cars on the road today, one gear is entirely sufficient. It's a significant departure from over a century of transmission development, where the entire challenge has been managing the mismatch between where an engine makes its power and what the road actually demands.